middle of the pack. This car right here will be on the pole for today's race, and so let's take a look at the starting lineup. That car will be driven by Mike Alexander, one of the Winston Cup drivers in car number 84. To his outside in row number 1 will be Rick Corelli in car number 6. The second row, Jim Thurkettle in number 5 and Darrell Waltrip in 17. Row number 3, Rick Crawford in 114 and Dale Earnhardt in number 12. The fourth row, Ron Hornaday Jr. in 79 and Mike Hood in 72. In row number 5, it'll be Davey Allison in 28 and Ken Schrader in number 2. Mike Chase in 22 and Roger Gannon in 23 make up row number 6. In the 7th row, it'll be Dennis Dyer in number 9 and Garrett Evans in 64. Randy Laskowski in 172 and Roman Kalsinski in 75, the current point leader, make up row number 8. In the 9th row, Pete Harding in 139 and John Packwis in 73. Danny Crafton in 46 and Ray Hooper Jr. in number 70 in row number 10. Row number 11, it's Troy Beebe in 98 and Ken Pedersen in 39. Row 12, 77, Larry Lord and 06, Ray Lawson Jr. Going to row number 13, number 20, Lauren Kelly and Ron Brown in number 112. And the 14th row, Ed Ash in 43 and Mark Walbridge in 07. As we take a look at the rest of the starting lineup, you can indeed see that it is a nice mixture of drivers that will be competing here this afternoon. And Ned, it's a race of 186 laps. That's 186 miles, 300 kilometers.
They should be able to run this race on one fuel stop, Bob. The tires that they're using, everyone has the same brand of tire, which is Hoosier, the same compound. We don't know how the wear might be. One thing that does have to do with wear on this racetrack, especially if the wind should get up a little bit, it can blow dirt on the racetrack, and of course that has a tendency to grind the rubber off of the tires and also make the racetrack very slippery.
And so the field is on the grid in the pit area. In just a few minutes, they'll be rolling out for some warm-up laps, and we'll be getting started in the Southwest Tour AC Delco 300. West Tour Series has been a very competitive one in 1988, 18 races, and there have been 12 different winners. And the guy that has won 3 times this year on the circuit and who is leading the points as we go into this final race of the season is the number 75 car driven by Roman Kalsinski. His closest opponent in the points is Troy Beebe from Modesto, California. He is also a 3-time winner this year in the Southwest Tour Series, and he will be driving for the number 98 car this afternoon in the middle of the pack. The pace car has pulled off of the racetrack, at least one of them. However, the field is still under the control of another pace car, and we'll go one more lap before beginning the green flag for 186 laps. Here comes the Troy Beebe machine, and he, as we said, will be trying to steal the championship away from Roman Kalsinski in this final event. With a problem in qualifying and crashing his car, and so did this man. Number 25, Jerry Bowers, who had a problem during the qualifying session and damaged his car beyond repair. So he's starting the backup car and will go from 40th position.
And that's a tough position to be starting from, Bob, because this is a tough racetrack to pass on.
The track that they'll be competing on, Phoenix International Raceway, is 1 mile in length. The pole time was 28.517 seconds at a speed of 126.240 miles an hour. The length of the race is 186 laps, and they'll be able to go about 100 laps before the necessity of a fuel stop. And they will go one more lap before getting the green flag. Darrell Waltrip, car number 17, starts alongside the number 5 car driven by Jim Thurkettle.
And fans don't get to see Darrell Waltrip in this type of competition very often. However, this is his own race car, so he does run some of these type races primarily in the Southeast.
So Waltrip will be starting this race from the outside of row number 2 in 4th starting position. His qualifying speed was 124.762 miles an hour as opposed to the pole speed of 126.240. And there's Dale Earnhardt, who will be driving car number 12.
3-time NASCAR Winston Cup champion. Piper Aircraft sponsoring that car. And of course, number 12 is a number that Bobby Allison has made famous in various forms of competition, and Piper Aircraft, of course, is a sponsor for Bobby Allison in some of his short track racing.
The number 28 car driven by Davey Allison, and the number 2 machine driven by Ken Schrader. So a couple of Winston Cup drivers here starting side by side in the 5th row, 9th and 10th positions.
And Bobby Allison made the trip here this weekend to watch his son Davey and all the other action here at the Phoenix International Raceway.
So the car's now on the backside of the racetrack, not a true oval. There is a dog leg in the back of the backstretch and creating kind of a D-shaped track. And that is one of the very interesting items about this racetrack as we now get set for the green flag and 186 laps of racing. Pace cars in turn number 3, picking up pace just a little bit. It'll be ducking into the pit area here in just a moment, and the field will be under the control of Mike Alexander. Pace car is in. The field comes off of corner number 4, and they're anticipating a green flag, and they get it. We are underway with the AC Delco 300.
Well, Alexander has the inside groove going into turn 1, and that is the preferred position.
The number 72 car, driven by Mike Hood, had a very bad start, and they had to take evasive action behind him, but everybody got through okay as they race now into turn number 3 for the first time this afternoon. It is Mike Alexander. That's Rick Corelli in the white number 6 car to the inside. Here's a completion of lap 1. Jim Thurkettle in car number 5 is battling for second position alongside of Rick Corelli, and Dale Earnhardt is also right there. Now Corelli pulls out just a little bit in the white car number 6. Thurkettle is in the red car number 5. Then the number 12 car driven by Dale Earnhardt, and that's Darrell Waltrip in car number 17. As battles are being fought for, Waltrip is on the high side of the racetrack, and that does not appear to be the fastest group as he is losing a position to Ken Schrader in the white car number 2.
Yeah, he lost several positions when he moved up on the outside of Earnhardt going into turn 4, trying to take over the fourth position, and boy, he went backwards in a hurry.
So we're watching Ken Schrader and the number 17 car of Darrell Waltrip. Also in the thick of the battle there is the number 75 car driven by Ron Hornaday Jr. of Palmdale, California.
Davey Allison right behind them, so a lot of good racing here early. Battle for third place going into turn 1.
The number 12 car is driven by Dale Earnhardt and the number 5 of Jim Thurkettle. Now it is Earnhardt that has gone into third position, and he is continuing to move up nicely on the field.
Now Darrell Waltrip has found himself an inside position. Worked a little better for him, however, he was not able to take that position away. Davey Allison been doing a little mixing up there too.
So Mike Alexander has pulled away from the field. We do have a crash up in turn number 3 as a couple of cars are up against the wall. Some contact in the turn number 3 area, and the number 20 car of Lauren Kelly is involved in that crash. And I believe it's also the number 77 car of Larry Lord. And the field is slowed now on the backstretch for the first time this afternoon. It is Mike Alexander that is leading the race with Rick Corelli second, and then Dale Earnhardt running in third place as the first caution period of the afternoon has come out. The number 20 car that was driven by Lauren Kelly has made it to the pit area. However, this other car involved in the crash, Larry Lord, car 77 rather, from Riverside, California, is still up against the wall in turn number 3. Now the car begins to back down the racetrack, trying to get headed in the right direction as the crew goes to work on the Lauren Kelly car here in the pit area.
And the right front fender is eventually almost gone from the car. In fact, they've torn it away, Bob, and that should not hurt him too much, though affect the aerodynamics a little bit. Doesn't seem to be too much damage to his car as they change the right side tires, but he is going a lap down, and the car number 77 gets back to the pits as well.
And the crew goes to work on that car also, changing the tires on the right side of the car and bending out the bent body work at the right front of the race car. So we are under caution here with 5 laps completed in the AC Delco 300 Tour race from Phoenix International Raceway. Let's see if Dale Earnhardt gets the good jump. Last time we went off a caution period onto green, the leader at that time was Mike Alexander, and he was a little bit asleep, but not Dale Earnhardt as he stands on the button and the race resumes into turn number 1.
Yeah, Mike is just a little bit slow on those restarts. Earnhardt got him by about 4 or 5 car lengths that time.
Earnhardt now stretching out the advantage by 4 or 5 car lengths, but here comes Mike Alexander once again closing in on the corners.
His car does seem to be working very well on the low side of the racetrack.
And lap number 21 is completed with Dale Earnhardt remaining in the lead. Here's a report from Dr. Jerry Punch on pit road.
Well, gentlemen, this car that Dale Earnhardt is driving, this wax shop Piper aircraft Buick, was a car that Ray Dillon owns. Dillon Enterprises out of North Liberty, Indiana. It's a fairly famous car builder all across the country. He built this car for Bobby Allison, and Bobby ran this car out here last year in this same race and finished second. Now, Bobby also won the Texas Race of Champions about a week after he won at Daytona back in February. In a very interesting conversation, a few minutes ago, Earnhardt was running third in the race in the early laps. Now, he had climbed in the car. He's on that radio with Ray Dillon, who's the car owner. Someone else just popped on the radio to talk to Dale Earnhardt, and it was Bobby Allison. Bobby Allison is here in the infield in a motorhome, and he told Dale, he said, "Hey, buddy, put your foot down." And Dale said, "Hey, I'd like to see you. Let's go here." Bobby said, "I'll tell you what, you win it, and maybe we can meet in victory lane." And they began joking on the radio. So as soon as Bobby got here, Dale pushed the button and took the lead, and I think we probably see him lead quite a bit today.
Well, it's nice to see Bobby Allison here at Phoenix International Raceway as he is recovering, of course, very nicely from those injuries suffered at Pocono in June. There's first and second, Dale Earnhardt and Mike Alexander back in the pack. Some action going on as we watch these cars cross the line. Here comes Third Kettle, followed by Darrell Waltrip, and then the 28 car driven by Davey Allison as they contest the fourth position.
Well, the front two cars have pulled away from the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth place cars, but good battle going on there. Davey Allison now trying to move on the inside of Darrell Waltrip.
And up front, we have a good battle. In addition to this one involving Davey Allison and Darrell Waltrip, we are seeing Winston Cup drivers certainly putting on the best performance so far. There is Davey Allison taking over that fifth position from Darrell Waltrip. It is still Dale Earnhardt and Mike Alexander. It's a very close contest between those two. Mike Alexander closes in once again. Earnhardt separates himself from Mike Alexander by about a car length as Alexander drifts just a little bit high going into corner number 4. They come out of the corner and down the front stretch. It's still Earnhardt leading, but just about a car length over Mike Alexander.
It didn't take him long to make up the deficit, the 4 or 5 car lengths that he dropped from the restart of the race. Now he tries to get a nose up under it.
Into the dog leg on the backstretch, but it is still Dale.
He's going to make it.
Here comes Mike Alexander to the inside, side by side with Earnhardt. Earnhardt doesn't want to give up the position, but Alexander has a nose on Dale as they come out of the fourth corner. Looks like there has been some contact between the two as the right rear of Alexander's car is showing a little bit of damage. Look at this side-by-side action into turn 1. Earnhardt on the high side and Alexander low.
I don't think people expected cars to be able to run at least a full lap around here side by side at the speed that they're running, Bob. Both of those cars handling very well, but Alexander on the inside seems to have the advantage, but Earnhardt just won't give up.
Many of these drivers performing on this racetrack for the very first time. Now Earnhardt wants to go to the inside position. They switch positions in turn number 4. Alexander now has a lead, and we'll see what Dale Earnhardt will do. They approach some of the slower traffic as they begin the lapping process already in turn number 2. Down the backstretch once again, it is Mike Alexander that has taken back over the lead from Dale Earnhardt. Let's go to the pit area and Dr. Dick Berggren.
Well, Bob, I'm watching Mike Alexander's car. That's one of the more interesting automobiles here. It is definitely the aerodynamically most slick car. There isn't a sharp edge on that thing, whereas all the rest of these cars have sharp edges on the trunk and other places. Now, the officials looked at it. They said, this car is so smooth, we're going to have to give you a 50-pound penalty for it. This morning, Alexander said he didn't understand why he had the penalty, but he's running with it anyway. I should also point out it is about the lowest car in the field. This thing hardly even moves the air when it goes through.
There's the view from our mountain cam, which is located on the mountain just outside of turn number 4. A great view for the spectators up there, and it gives you a great perspective of this overall one-mile track here at Phoenix International Raceway as we watch the leaders, Mike Alexander at car number 84 and Dale Earnhardt in car number 12.
Well, the fact that that car is so slick and so low, as Dick Berggren pointed out, is certainly helping him get through these turns. He just can drive the car anywhere he wants to go with it, and it sticks down on the inside, and that is the preferred route.
Mike Alexander, of course, was in the lead of the Busch Grand National point standings for quite a while during the 1988 season, however, fell to third in the final races as Tommy Ellis captured the Busch Grand National Championship and Rob Moroso finished in second. There's the number 2 car of Ken Schrader. He's third on the racetrack. Then comes Jim Thurkettle and Davey Allison.
So a good battle there for third, fourth, and fifth position. Allison has moved up through the field quite well. He started in the 9th position, now running in 5th.
And behind the white car of Davey Allison is the blue car, number 23, and that is driven by Roger Gannon. However, he is a lap down.
And behind him is the black car, number 17, of Darrell Walton, who's running 6th, and here's trouble.
And it's Rick Corelli at car number 6, who was a very up-and-coming contender. He was in the 8th position when this crash occurred. The car is against the wall here on the main straightaway, just a little bit from the start-finish line as the others come off of corner number 4, and the yellow is waving for the 3rd time this afternoon. Everybody is going to be able to get slowed down and avoid the Corelli car. Unfortunate situation for Rick, who was running 2nd early in the race, had fallen back to 8th position, and now finds apparently his race over against the front stretch wall. So we have our 3rd caution flying over Phoenix International Raceway in the AC Delco 300. Turn, the green flag waves once again, and the leader of this race is that 3rd car back, the yellow and white number 98, that's being driven by Troy Beebe, who is one of those in contention for the crown here, the Southwest Tour Championship. The 2 cars that restarted this race ahead of him are actually at the tail end of the lead lap. And Beebe now is the leader. In 2nd position is the number 9 car that's being driven by Dennis Dyer, but several of those cars did not pit under this caution period.
Dale Earnhardt has already worked himself back up to about in the top 5, I believe, Bob, after making a pit stop, or momentarily he was there. There was a lot of scrambling on the backstretch back of the leader, and they've sort of gotten themselves squared away now, but the car number 98 checking out on them.
So Beebe is the leader at this point, looking for a championship in the Southwest Tour division, but most of these guys that did make a pit stop a few laps ago have fresh tires and will be catching up to Troy, we assume, in just a few more laps as they begin to thread their way through the slower traffic. Here are some of them. That's Earnhardt there in car number 12. The 73 car is Packwis, John Packwis from Albuquerque, and that is 4th and 5th at the moment.
And Packwis hanging on tight on the outside, but he sees him coming up on some slow cars, and he just simply backed off of the gas, which was a good, smart thing to do. But look at Earnhardt just dogging his way through the pack. He wants to get back to the front in a hurry.
Once again, trying to lap the 23 car driven by Roger Gannon from Redding, California. Earnhardt now on the inside does make the pass going into turn number 1 as the 23 car goes high on the racetrack. But Packwis in number 73, the yellow car, is hanging right in there, and he has certainly been at least among the more impressive of the regular Southwest Tour guys here in the first 73 laps.
Doing a great job coming from the back end of the pack, started in 18th position and got up there in the top 5, was running 4th before this caution came out, and now running with Dale Earnhardt and getting some good lessons there in tight racing.
He is twice a champion at the 3rd mile dirt track in his hometown of Albuquerque. John Packwis is. He had no pavement experience prior to his Southwest Tour rookie season, 1987. Finished 2nd in the road race at Sonoma, was the youngest driver ever to win a pole at Riverside, California in the Southwest Tour division. We're talking about John Packwis, the driver of the yellow car number 73 that is currently being shown in 6th spot.
Earnhardt in the 5th position, trying to work his way back up. Now, they reported in the pits that Mike Alexander took on left side tires. Earnhardt, Waltrip, and several others took on right side tires. Here's Earnhardt making the move again.
That's the number 39 car that's being driven by Ken Pedersen from Sausalito, California. You know the Ken Pedersen name from Pro Mazda series, one of the open wheel divisions, but Pedersen is now in this car number 39 for this race here this afternoon. The number 25 car is driven by Jerry Bowers, and the 9 car is Dennis Dyer from Palmdale, California.
Jerry Bowers and Rick Crawford, and I think there were 3 cars that were sponsored in this race, Bob, by the Wide World of Maps Incorporated, so they're really into this Southwest Tour division.
The battle for 2nd position going on right here. That is Troy Beebe leading the way in car number 98. The 25 car of Bowers is in 2nd position. Dyer in 3rd. as we're watching the Winston Cup drivers move up through the traffic. Dale Earnhardt all the way up to 4th place, but Bowers is hanging right in there in the red and silver car number 25, right behind the leader, Troy Beebe.
And he started all the way back in 41st position and now running second.
Remember, that is a backup car. He did have an accident during the qualifying session yesterday and was able to bring in his backup car and start in, and he has made a nice progression up through the pack. Has made a pit stop, but did not pit during the most recent caution period, and that's the reason why he is already up there in the front of the pack. And now he challenges Troy Beebe, and we have a car backing into the wall right in front of us here. That's the 13 car of Kathy Howard, and oh, Beebe spins to avoid hitting, and several other cars are going to spin also. The number 9 car, driven by Dyer, is involved in a spin. As the Kathy Howard car was sliding to a stop, Troy Beebe was right there, had to stand on the brakes to avoid hitting her, slid to the inside of the racetrack, tagged the inside wall, and then here came Dyer in the number 9 car, and he spun and tagged the outside wall. It's a 3-car accident and a major setback for Troy Beebe as he has damaged that car in his quest for the Southwest Tour Championship.
He might be able to continue, Bob. There's some damage to the right side of the car, but he does have it fired, and you can see him trying to get it righted so he can get back around the other way, but evidently he doesn't have a reverse. He had a forward gear, but now he gets it going backwards, and he wants to stay in the lead lap. He'll get back to the pits, and maybe they can make repairs and keep him in the race, but he had to simply just turn square left to avoid the car number 13 that had spun in front of him.
Jerry Punch is in the pit area. Jerry?
Dale Earnhardt back in the pits. Likewise, Davey Allison pitting just behind Dale Earnhardt. So both these rivals will come in and now take on left side tires. Remember, you can only put 2 tires on during caution. At this last caution a few laps ago, they put on the right tires. And Mike Alexander now exits the pits and heads down pit road. So Alexander will have fresh rubber all the way around, as will Earnhardt. He jumped off the jack and heads back toward turn 1. And Davey Allison still on the jack here, getting left side tires.
So several make additional pit stops now. There's Earnhardt going back out onto the racetrack down the acceleration lane. You'll notice some grass being grown there in the first turn area. And here is the replay of Troy Beebe. Now watch him stand on the brakes as the Howard car is right ahead of him.
He just had to stand on the brakes and turn it square left. Of course, when it did, the back end went around. He hit the inside retaining wall and did some damage to the right side of the car. He has since brought it back to the pits, but he's about to go a lap down. And of course, the fellow who's in second place in the point standings.
Now here is the original spin by Kathy Howard coming off corner number 4.
Looks like she just simply lost it as she came off the turn, Bob. Went around and backed in to the retaining wall and slid back across the racetrack right in front of Troy Beebe, and that's when he had to make his evasive move. And of course, a very fine gesture on his part to make that move. First of all, to save his own car, but also to keep him from hitting her, from T-boning her.
And then the number 9 car of Dennis Dyer also became involved in that crash. There is Beebe in the pit area as the crew is replacing the rubber on the right side of that car and trying to bend out the bodywork to keep it from rubbing on the tires. Dick Berggren is watching from pit road.
Well, Bob, they got more problems here than just changing tires. When Beebe came down pit road, the car was crabbing. That means the rear end is not straight in the car. It's crooked in the car. It's almost impossible to drive the car even at slow speed with a rear end that's out by, say, a 16th. This thing looks like it's out by an inch or 2. So these guys have really got their work cut out for them if he's even going to get back into the race again. Now, they've just removed the rear deck here to go to work on that back end and try to straighten it. That's his dad, Alan, looking into the rear end of the car to see what's going on. There's also action going up pit road with Jerry Punch. Jerry?
Well, Rick Crawford having his troubles too, Dick. And Crawford, a driver out of Mobile, Alabama, he has had an oil pump drive belt come off, so he has been on pit road, and this caution certainly a break for him. He'd just come down pit road having lost oil pressure when the caution came back out. So a couple of cars smoking out there. A couple other quick pit stops. Darrell Waltrip came in. He took on left side tires, as did Kenny Schrader. So now all the Winston Cup regulars running this Southwest Tour event have fresh rubber.
And we also saw a fire in the number 07 car of Mark Walbridge here on pit road. So a lot of action here with 81 out of 186 laps are completed. We come to Phoenix International Raceway seeing a lot of improvement.
Looked like that it might have been a tire. As he went into the turn, it just shot straight up into the wall, and we see Earnhardt bringing the car around, but certainly he's out of contention and probably out of the race here today.
Tough break for Dale Earnhardt, who had shown some major strength here throughout the race, leading for quite a while. Here's a replay of what happened up in turn 2.
Well, you can see him is already up against the wall, and it looks like the right front of the car is down, as if a tire had blown going into the turn.
He had led for on six different occasions today and started this race in 6th position, but you can now see how that right side of the car is down and there is damage to the right side of it. Jerry Punch is in Dale Earnhardt's pit as he slowly makes his way down pit road, but he's going to turn back into the garage area before he makes the pit. Jerry?
Well, Dale radioed in and said he thinks he may have cut a tire. He must have cut a tire because, as you said, Bob, the car just veered directly into the outside wall there toward turn 2, and it's pretty heavily damaged. And if they could get the car fixed, there's just so few laps left, it wouldn't be worth their while. They were hoping to win this one for Ray Dillon, the car owner and builder, and for Bobby Allison, who's driven that car so many times and so many tremendous wins. But it just won't be, so they take the car back toward the garage area.
Dale Earnhardt retires from competition here in the AC Delco 300. We have some cars that are making pit stops, including Ken Schrader in car number 2, who is in for a stop. He was running in 4th position when he came in for the pit stop. Also Troy Beebe, as we get our wide shot from the mountain cam once again. Also Troy Beebe is in the race for a change of tires on the right side. There is Ken Schrader as he goes back out onto the racetrack, and right behind him will come Troy Beebe in car number 98. Beebe has experienced some misfortune here this weekend because of his crash in qualifying earlier this weekend, and he has also suffered a spin here in this race. He is 11 laps down to the field. He is obviously dejected. He has, for all practical purposes, lost the Southwest Tour Championship this year. Roman Kalsinski, if things continue right now, will be the champion. Back in a moment. The pace car pulls off now, and Mike Alexander leads the field down for a restart of this 300-kilometer affair. Darrell Waltrip is in 2nd position. Jim Thurkettle is running in 3rd spot now as they go into the turn single file. But, oh, Alexander's car must have something wrong with it as he slows dramatically and is being passed.
I believe he's got a tire going down or something, Bob, because he went into that turn and it almost turned sideways with him. Mike Alexander definitely has a problem. Waltrip has taken over the lead, and Alexander will be heading to the pits.
And Roman Kalsinski there in car number 75 had to get on the brakes hard to avoid hitting Mike Alexander. Kalsinski wants to stay in this race and finish it because he can win the Southwest Tour Championship. So now we see Mike Alexander headed for his pit, and yes, indeed, the crew is going to change the tires on the right side as Jerry Punch is right there.
Well, Scott Houston put the jack plate the right side of the car, and Kim McCord, the Alexander crew chief, they go to work on the right side, putting 2 fresh Hoosiers on the turbo blue machine for Mike Alexander. He keeps the car revved up, and he almost stalls it on pit road. He gets it fired and heads down pit road in 14 seconds. Pretty good pit stop for this crew.
Well, Jerry's going to have to hurry, though. The leaders are coming around. He's going to go a lap down. Darrell Waltrip moves around him as he goes into turn 1. You can see him down on the pit lane, and Waltrip going by on the outside. So Mike Alexander does go a lap down.
Tough break for Mike, who had run so well in this race and had started from the pole position at a speed of 126.240 miles an hour. Waltrip now has the lead in car number 17, and Jim Thurkettle in car number 5, the solid red car, is running 2nd, and that completes lap number 164. We have got 22 more to go.
And Bob, before that last caution, Thurkettle was really working on Darrell Waltrip, and in fact, he's in a threatening position there right now. His car has run well all day. Look at him move right up, and he's going to try to pass him on the outside. Can he do it?
Thurkettle's car working well. He is on the outside in turn number 3. Waltrip has the inside groove, side-by-side racing. Waltrip the slight advantage, but now as they come out of the 4th corner, it's going to be Jim Thurkettle taking over the lead from Waltrip, and we have our 5th leader of the afternoon.
Well, Thurkettle not intimidated by these Winston Cup drivers. He just made a good move on the outside. Waltrip's car, I don't know, it doesn't seem to be running quite as strong as it was a little bit earlier because that pass looked almost too easy there, Bob, as he slipped up on the outside as if Waltrip's car might not have had full power.
So Jim Thurkettle, 10th in points in the Southwest Tour coming into this race. We asked him earlier in the weekend, do you like running against the Winston Cup drivers?
Well, you know, we kind of like it from the standpoint that, you know, we'll learn a few things from them. But, you know, on the other hand, some of the advantages they have kind of bother us a little bit. They have allowed this ASA body to run for this particular race, this one-time deal, and they have some aerodynamic advantages, and I don't think they needed any advantages. So that's the way it goes.
Well, Third Kettle is certainly not learning much from these drivers. Oh, a little bit of smoke there from the Third Kettle car. I was going to say he's teaching the Winston Cup drivers perhaps some lessons, because he has taken the lead now. It is Darrell Waltrip second, but here comes Mike Alexander trying to unlap himself.
Boy, with those new tires on the right side, he just zipped by Waltrip, no problem at all. Now, if he can catch Third Kettle and get around him, have the fortune of another caution flag, Mike Alexander could get right back in this race.
Don't count him out yet, although we have less than 20 laps to go. It is Mike Alexander who is definitely the fastest car on the racetrack as he closes in now on the leader, Jim Thurkettle, in an attempt to get his lost lap back. He lost that lap when he had to come in because of a flat tire on the right side of the car. And the number 2 car of Ken Schrader, we will tell you, while we watch the action on the racetrack, has gone behind the wall. He had been on the lead lap all day, but Ken Schrader, another one of the Winston Cup drivers who drops out of this competition late in the event.
Mike Alexander now driving hard, trying to get back in the lead lap. And here we have a car down on the inside, and the caution is out. Okay, do they race back to the flag? And if so, Mike Alexander is going to beat him. He's running into all of that dust from that car on the inside, but he drives right on through it and is going to try to beat Thurkettle back to the start-finish line and get back in the lead lap.
The 127 car of Brian Brown is one of those involved. There you can see how Mike Alexander beat Thurkettle back to the caution flag. There is one of the cars involved in the crash. That was the car that was up against the wall in the third turn, the number 127 of Brian Brown. And the other car involved in the incident is the number 26 car driven by Scott Lee from Vista, California. He was on the inside kicking up a tremendous amount of dust there in turn number 3 that created some visibility problems. But the caution flag is over Phoenix International once again for the 11th time afternoon. Thurkettle, let's get a report on that car from Jerry Punch.
Well, Thurkettle went by Waltrip a few minutes ago, and a lot of people were wondering why, but he has a 12-to-1 high-compression, 358 cubic inch engine. Now, he must weigh 150 pounds more than everybody else because of the high compression, but he's like a rocket coming off the corners. Waltrip, on the other hand, has a 274 cubic inch V6, and he has a bad push in the car, so those two things together are giving Thurkettle the advantage. Let's go up pit road to Dick Berggren. Dick?
Well, as we get ready for the green flag, Mike Alexander is running a 9-to-1 low compression V8 engine, and he's got his problems too. His car has got a vibration. He's had it for much of the tail end of the race, and this is exactly what he did not want to do, have to push the automobile. They're afraid if they push it hard, they might break it. But just under that last caution flag, he took on 2 left side tires that were new. He's got 2 right side new tires from the caution flag just before it, and he's in a great position to rocket through the field if the car can hold up.
All right, so let's explain now that as we come down and complete number 176, we've got 10 more laps to go. Yes, Mike Alexander did get his lap back, but in this division, they do not start in the 2 abreast formation. They start in single file. So although he was on the lead lap, Mike Alexander restarted this race from way back at the tail end of the pack, and he's got to come through everybody else to get back in contention.
Yeah, as a result of his pit stop, he was absolutely at the rear of the pack, so he'll have to pass every car in the field to get the lead, and I don't think he has enough time to do that, Mo.
There he is. He has passed several cars, but still has a long way to go. It does not look good for Mike Alexander, despite the fact that he has 3 brand new tires on that car. 2 right sides and the left rear are new. So there is Alexander as he works some of the slower traffic and is disposing of some of those, including the number 35 car driven by Keith Van Houten. There he passes him, and so Mike Alexander is moving up, but the time is running short. Here, meanwhile, is the race for second position. It's Darrell Waltrip in car number 17 and Roman Kalsinski in car 75. And Kalsinski has driven a very smart race. He has stayed out of trouble. Now finds himself really in a battle for second position here as he goes to the outside of Waltrip, and Kalsinski goes into second position at the moment. But here comes Waltrip battling back on the inside of the racetrack. Nevertheless, Kalsinski is going to be the Southwest Tour champion for 1988.
Well, certainly you don't want to take any unnecessary chances, but he does, I believe, have the championship sewed up right now, just trying to get himself a good finish and racing side by side with 3-time Winston Cup champion Darrell Waltrip. Has to be a big thrill for him.
Inching ahead of Waltrip again, and now putting himself solidly in second position, but he has a lot of racetrack to go before he catches the leader of the race, Jim Thurkettle. And here comes Waltrip back. Meanwhile, there you see the interval between first and second and third. There is the leader, Thurkettle, coming down now to cross the line, and here comes second position. So it's about, what, a 3-second interval between first and second spot.
Yeah, Thurkettle has moved on out, away from him, just running out by himself, no problems as far as any traffic is concerned. All he's got to do is just keep her between the rails and keep her running good, and he'll have himself a win.
Jim Thurkettle, an engineer by occupation. He missed half of the 1987 season as we check the interval once again between first and second, and there is about 2.2 seconds. Thurkettle missed about half of the 1987 season when his equipment was destroyed in a highway fire. But now he finds himself in 10th place in the point standings as we would make that 20th position. He's 20th in points going in, having competed in only 8 of the 18 races on the Southwest Tour for 1988. We'll check the interval once again to see if indeed there is he's closed in by about 0.2 of a second. So Kalsinski is moving up. Oh, and he goes high on the racetrack, and I don't think he wanted to do that, but nevertheless gathered it in as he is closing in on Thurkettle. But again, I think we're running out of laps because coming down this time, we will have only 3 more circuits to go.
Well, we see Pedersen running in the white and red car, running in the 4th position, and not far behind that pack of cars is Mike Alexander. He has really picked them off as he came up through the field, but time is going to run out on him before he gets too far up, and he might get himself a top 5 finish out of this.
Well, it's interesting that Thurkettle has been able to beat all of these Winston Cup drivers here this afternoon, as a lot of mechanical problems have struck the Winston Cup drivers. Oh, Waltrip is high and slides into the wall in turn number 3. And he slides across the racetrack. It is narrowly missed by Troy Beebe, as Beebe once again had to take evasive action as he did earlier in the race, spinning on the main straightaway.
I think that push on his car perhaps got too much. It either wore the right front tire out or something, and I think that's what caused him to go into the wall. And the white flag is coming out. The yellow flag is coming out first. The white flag was scheduled to come out here very shortly, but Darrell Waltrip sitting just inside the racing group, the entrance to the pits there, and that's the reason for the yellow flag now. It'll be the 12th.
I really wondered if they were going to throw the caution because Waltrip's car is off the racetrack somewhat in the entrance to pit road, but yes, the yellow has come out. And there you can see Waltrip's car sitting on the apron in the 4th turn. And we'll take a look at what happened once again as Waltrip battled alongside the number 23 car of Roger Gannon.
Well, there's no contact yet between them. No contact at all between the tires. Something happened. His car just broke loose and slid up into the outside wall. And apparently one of the tires did go down on his Superflow car number 17. And Mike Alexander has fought his way all the way back up, I believe, to 3rd from the rear of the pack after having that unscheduled pit stop.
The white flag has been displayed, so this race is going to end under caution. The wrecker is at the front of the Darrell Waltrip car, but the field is under caution, and as they come down, they will receive the checkered flag, signaling the end to the AC Delco 300 Southwest Tour race from Phoenix International, and the winner is going to be Jim Thurkettle. Roman Kalsinski finishes in 2nd position and wins the Southwest Tour Championship for 1988. There's the checkered flag and the celebration from the crew. I believe finishing in 3rd position is going to be Mike Alexander. 4th was Ken Pedersen in car number 39, and the number 70 car, driven by Ray Hooper Jr., will be unofficially the 5th place finisher. So an interesting race, and again, Ned, I think with the exception of Mike Alexander, who's right there beside Jim Thurkettle, we saw mostly, I think, all of the Winston Cup drivers, with the exception of Mike Alexander, fall by the wayside, leaving Jim Thurkettle the victory.
They had problems, the Winston Cup drivers did, and remember